Sure. I laugh because sometimes I'll be cuddling for 6 or 8 hours a day and I joke, I'm like, oh, I'm so tired from cuddling all day. But it actually, like, I am fully present with somebody when I'm cuddling with them. They are getting the heightened, like, fully present, fully with you version of me. And that's energy. That's work. That's worthy of being paid for. That's worthy of some kind of exchange. In this exchange, the exchange is money. In a relationship, the exchange is a two-way street.
Yeah. So you're saying you're exhausted from all the cuddling?
No, I'm not exhausted from all the cuddling right now.
No, not right now. But I'm saying you can be. If you spend an entire day of exerting yourself in that way, you're cuddling people, you're exchanging that energy with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can get exhausted, right?
Absolutely.
My question to you is, like, so you're in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
So you're in a relationship. You mentioned earlier to me that, you have a boyfriend.
Yes.
Do you get exhausted when you're coming home to him and if he wants that affection? Because you spent all day giving affection to other people and that energy is now extracted to a large degree, 8 hours, right? And now you come home to your man who I would assume hasn't been cuddling for 8 hours. You know what I mean? How do you respond to his needs to be physically connected, or is he not that demanding? Like, what is it?
This is where we start to get into how I've purposely constructed my relationships. So I think I mentioned to you at some point, like, before the relationship I'm in right now, which is a closed monogamous relationship,
right? I
was in open polyamorous relationships. So I got to see what that was like. For me personally, what I found through exploring polyamory is that, sure, you can have all the sex you want. You can have all the partners you want and like get all those needs met. That without emotional intimacy is so hard. And so I actually left that because I'm like, if I'm going to go have a partner, I'm going to have one partner. They're going to be super solid. We're going to have great communication around our needs and how to talk about boundaries. So if I show up and I do need to be there for him, I have to evaluate and be like, can I do that right now?
Yeah.
Oftentimes the answer is yes. I have the energy because the way I can do it. Sometimes the answer is no, I don't have anything left in the tank. And other times it's I can't do that in particular, but I can offer you this. Will this help you right now? That in between is very crucial because, like, you may, and that's essentially in my work too. Like, if somebody asks for something that's outside my comfort zone, it's my job to also be like, okay, what's the need that is getting met by me doing that? And what's a way that I can help you and offer to you and be with you and still get that need met that I feel comfortable with? So, for example, my boyfriend actually doesn't like a whole lot of touch. He doesn't like getting foot rubs. He doesn't like getting massages. He's just starting to understand a little bit more about like what he likes in his own body.
Yeah, but see, that. I mean, to me, that's probably the opportunity. Is like if he's probably not as physical, right?
No, that's not true. He's still very cuddly. He's
still very
close.
Okay.
But as far as like receiving touch, like personally, like me giving to him, that doesn't happen quite as often in our dynamic. But what does happen is that we give to each other in lots of ways, going back to the 5 love languages. If I'm depleted, like, it's very nice for me to get touch on my terms that I particularly am asking for. He's usually very happy to do that. I've had days where I came home and I texted him like, I'm going to be super exhausted. And I come home, he has dinner made. He's like, lay down, let me rub your feet. Like, do you need a shoulder rub?
So like, he's more of a giver.
He is a very giving person, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, because you have nothing left to give when you come home. Damn.
Yeah. In order to keep going, we need to replenish ourselves. And I'm so grateful that I have him.
That's good.
And if I didn't have him, I would still find a way to replenish myself too.
Yeah, because you're going to hire another cuddler.
I have done it before.
I'm sure you have. I'm not shocked. Like, that's fascinating to me. But when you first were in your relationship, was he always open to you being a professional cuddler?
Right from the get-go. Let me tell you, I did a lot of online dating and was very open from the get-go about being a professional cuddler. I hated online dating for it. Like,
Why?
you know how many times I got, "Oh, you're a professional cuddler. I'm a professional cuddler too." And I'm like, "No, no, you're not." Or
Uh,
the worst one I hated was, "Oh, you're a professional cuddler. So how much is this date gonna cost me?" And I'm like, "No." Those were all big
oh,
red flags for me. So those were
I
easy
mean,
to say no.
honestly, I don't blame them for saying that only because they're not familiar with the space. Like
Yeah.
the last person that probably mentioned that was probably them trying to disguise like what they're really doing is prostitution, right?
Unfortunate and just a quick tidbit. Prostitution is a slur. Usually say sex worker instead.
Sex worker, right?
Yeah.
In any case, they've been like conditioned to accept anyone who is charging for physical connection as someone who is a sex worker, right?
Yeah. And unfortunately, because my field isn't like regulated with licensure and whatnot, which aren't pursuing that for various reasons.
You're not pursuing what?
Sex worker, the industry is not pursuing to become a licensed industry.
Why not?
It's a very extreme way to regulate our work, and I've seen laws that have tried to do that for like general like body work peoples, and I was like, a lot of the standards they're asking for do not exist in our field. Nobody wants these in our field, not even the leaders, and this is just opening up opportunities for predatory schools to open up and charge exorbitant amounts of money because they can.
Predatory schools?
Yeah. I mean, at one point there was a law that tried to get like, oh, you need to have 500 hours of on-site training at a school specifically for your field. They were saying this for like all these body workers. And I'm like, that doesn't exist for our field. That's so dumb. Like I am the leader in my field in my state. I don't want to create that. If I'm not going to create that, some bozo might do that and just that doesn't know what they're doing because they're going to make money from doing it because people have to do it.
You're creating like a barrier to the space.
It's a barrier to entry
that doesn't really translate to actual effective.
No.
Yeah.
However, it is a problem too, though, because with it not being as regulated as I would like it to be, which not to that extreme, but like some kind of recognized regulation, sex workers do end up hiding in our work sometimes. And
hiding in your work like sheep, like wolf in sheep's clothing.
if some of the platforms I'm listed on, the minimum requirement is just to apply. You don't have to have training. You don't have to go through any programs. If you get accepted as a professional cuddler there, you are now a professional cuddler. You could get started today if you really wanted to.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that you're any good at it. It doesn't mean that you're going to respect boundaries. I've had clients come to me after seeing somebody on one of these sites having no experience whatsoever, and they've been traumatized by people. They've been like upsold to people being like, oh, here's a menu of things if you want to like touch my butt or like cuddle in lingerie. And I'm just like, holy sugar, what? Yeah. Like that's the thing.
It's like you're at a body buffet. Like, damn.
Yeah.
Like, hey, for $12, I'll let you brush my teeth. What?
Yeah.
What? That's wild to me. That's wild.
So yeah, unfortunately, because people use the term professional cuddler for a lot of things, not just my work, like jokingly, like, oh, professional cuddler, like on dating apps, in dating apps, or I'm a professional cat cuddler. Actually, that's a thing. And so is apparently professional dog cuddler now. But those are things that you can do, or even like the baby cuddlers. There's so much confusion around it that a lot of my industry is starting to move towards using the term cuddle therapy to differentiate themselves.
Did you say baby cuddler? Who's saying baby cuddler?
There's baby cuddlers. You can it's going to be very hard to do it, but you can volunteer at a hospital for babies that have secondhand addiction from the womb and cuddle them because it helps them as they are trying to get over that secondhand addiction.
Have you ever had a client that suffered from like trauma through like physical abuse and like needed like cuddle therapy to like rehabilitate their ability to welcome physical touch? Is that a thing?
I have.
What was that like?
It was harder for them than it was for me.
I would imagine.
Yeah. Something to note is that cuddle sessions don't have to start with cuddling. I start my sessions because everybody that comes through my door, every single person that comes through the door and has never seen a professional cuddler for the first time, at some point I can see it in their eyes, like that flashes through them for one moment or even just a longer moment. They have the thought, what am I doing? I'm about to cuddle a stranger.
Yeah.
So I make a point to not be a stranger. So
you get familiar.
Instead of going, we don't just go right into cuddling or anything like that. You don't do that when you go get a massage either. You have to do an intake form. You got to fill out like where you want attention and whatnot. You do that when you go get a massage at a really well-established place. I like to sit and chat and really connect with the person about their day, who they are, because we're not just body pillows to each other. We're human beings with our own like feelings, beliefs, ambitions, dreams, all that stuff. And I want to be there for that too. And in this case, the hurt. So every single person I see, we sit and chat first for however long it takes for them to feel comfortable. Some people it's 2 minutes, some people it's 45 minutes. Sometimes it's the whole session. In this particular case, it was closer to like 40, 50 minutes, probably a little bit more than that out of a 90-minute session.
And then you would proceed to potentially cuddle somebody for like 8 hours after a conversation for like 45 minutes for some clients.
No, not necessarily.
But some clients, you have those long sessions, right?
I mean, some do, yeah. But that doesn't necessarily mean I have to talk to them for 45 minutes. For some people, it's 5 minutes and they're like, I'm comfortable, let's go.
I mean, if you're paying, get comfortable because you're on the clock. Like that's, but what's the furthest you ever had to travel to meet a client?
So that's a hard one to tack down. But the most interesting one, I actually got flown out to Virginia recently, not that long ago.
You got flown out?
Oh, yes. They flew me out for an entire day. So I do what I call a day rate, where after a certain time, it's just not cost effective to just pay by the hour. So I'm like, okay, flat rate, and I see you for the day. And when we're done cuddling, we're done cuddling. I'm not going to see anybody else. So that's fine. And so he paid for that. He paid for my flight. He paid for my hotel because I was obviously not going to go back on a flight that day.
Yeah.
And that was an amazing session.
How long was that session?
I saw him at 5 and he left around 10:30. So that was about 5.5 hours.
5.5 hour cuddle session that he flew you. How much did he pay for that, if you don't mind me asking?
So between for the cuddle itself or all the expenses?
The cuddling.
The cuddling, that was $800.
$800. Me personally, yeah. I don't think that was enough. That's just me.
Probably not.
That's just me because I'm looking at the length of time of like the duration of your time. Like, look at me being your agent. The duration of time, like for your travel and just like that you allocated to even be there. It's a more expensive trip, in my opinion. But,
absolutely. But I raised my rates too, so don't worry.
And I'm not here telling you what you should do. I'm saying this, like $800 for someone to be uprooted from wherever they're at to come in, cuddle you for 5 hours for $800 is a tremendous amount of service for $800. That's what I'm.
You asked me how much he paid for the cuddling. That's what he paid for the cuddling. You didn't ask me about everything else.
Everything else, I'm sure it was a lot of money, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you packing your bags, going into the airport, going to like, just so you can provide this service. That in itself is also a taxing part of the experience for you, I would imagine, right?
Yes, and I get paid for that too.
I thought you got paid $800.
For the cuddling. You asked me about the cuddling. So I got paid for the cuddling.
Oh, you got paid for other things as well.
I got paid to get there, dude.
Okay, then that's fine.
The actual cuddle session was $800. You asked me that.
Okay. Well, I thought when you said like the travel and stuff, I thought you meant like he just bought the flight and bought the hotel.
He did, but also, yeah, that's also going to come with an extra fee because I have to get there.
Got it. Okay, then that's fine. Okay, then we're on the same page. We're on the same page. This is my ignorance speaking, so you have to like allow me to like navigate through my ignorance. So